Thank you, David, very much for joining this Trust Talks. During these talks, we have discussed with international experts trustworthiness of governmental institutions, the attitude of society, trust toward local governance, CSOs, and government at all. And I am glad that today with you we can discuss the trust crisis from another angle. And I will go straight and ask David, how much do you think we can trust AI or cyborgs or IT? And overall, what is the trust situation in Armenia and how these developments, innovations in technologies come to support or challenge overall the trust in Armenia?
Okay, thank you for this talk. The topic is really interesting for me. And I can say that to answer this question about trust to AIs, to new technologies, we need to dive deeper how it structured and how they keep our data. Because first of all, privacy for all of us, it's privacy of our data. Personal data mostly. And for this, we need to think about these algorithms, because we can't say that we blindly trust or not trust, but we need to understand which guarantees these kind of companies provide for us. I mean, this could be mobile phones, computers, this could be some softwares that they provide some services for us, social networks where they keep a huge data of our personal activities. Actually, each person should choose for himself to which service to trust. Because for example, I decided to take this model of mobile phone, because I'm aware that this company will not give any of my personal information to other side, not to local government, not to other government. So I'm sure, because they are reporting these cases when they were asked to give some data and they refused it. But for example, we know that Facebook has annual reports that they provide some kind of data to local governments, other centers, and they say it at the end of the year. They say that like Armenian government requested this kind of data, this much time, and we've provided them in these and these cases. Actually, not opening the case fully. And that's why each person should choose, because mostly companies, they provide these details, whether they are ready to share your personal data with some government if they have this kind of request. And that's why this is the choose of each person to understand the policy of this company, to trust this policy. Because at the end, if they report that they don't give any personal data, but at some moment they provide this data to any side, world will know. So this will not be covered, and this company will have its consequences.
Well, thank you very much. It sounds really very interesting, but also like how realistic it is for usual person, like average person like me, let's say, to go in detail through all the gadgets that we use, their companies, their policies, and all the applications that they use. Like, it sounds so hard for me. Like, can you give some tips how it is like realistically possible?
Well, as I know, this kind of companies, all of them, they report these cases, but also from news we can read it. So I remember the case in breaking news that one person who made suicide or some kind of thing, he had an iPhone, and government of United States asked for iPhone to unlock his mobile phone, because for sure Apple has all the data, passwords, etc. But they refused to do it, even in this kind of criminal case, because Apple believe, and they report it as is, that this is mostly important for them. But we know many other Chinese companies that they officially report that they provide data to Chinese government. So there is nothing to think about. They report it, and they say that if they have requests from Chinese government, they will provide. Actually, there is also other component, not only trust to the company that they will give or not give the data, but also some security policy, whether this kind of data would not be hacked, because it's also possible. And we hear about it from time to time about Facebook. They report that millions of data were stolen by some hackers. And we need to be sure that we are also safe with this data. In my opinion, each of us should choose this. So when we are talking about messengers, they also report this, and there is tons of YouTube materials where persons talk about security of these messengers. And I have one as well in YouTube, and I describe the difference between Signal Messenger, Telegram, Facebook Messenger, and they're really different situations. So what Signal says, for example, they say that even the Signal company, they can't read your encrypted message, because they use the type of encryption which other side will not be able to read. So it calls like end-to-end encryption from one phone to another phone, and any other third side will not be able to read this. And the guarantee of this is that, for example, Signal is they are open source, and they are providing to publicity their codes, and they say, well, you can be aware, just read it and you will be aware. And there are also audit companies who audit these kind of applications and provide some description that this product really meets the requirements and the reports that they share with publicity. This is the only reason that we need to believe them, because otherwise we will not be able to use our smartphones at all. So we need to choose some level of security and be aware that this company keeps your security.
Yeah, thank you very much. It still sounds very hard to me, but yeah, what shall we do? Of course, you need to be aware of many things to be able to protect yourself or take care of your data security. And I also wonder, like listening to you, and especially the part when you said about the access of Chinese government to all the data that the companies provide. I wondered how individually I am and any random person that isn't in the government doesn't have a high rank position in any company is a matter of interest, like for any party as an individual case, not as a part of big data, but as an individual case.
Yeah, because this is the different question of big data, because all we are in the big data. When you open your web browser and go to some shops, then you will see that Facebook will share with you more and more advertisement on exact shops. So actually, there are also many workarounds, but I don't know whether a person from not IT sphere will be able to make these workarounds. Sometimes I'm trying to do that, but sometimes it's just meaningless for me. So I say web browser, okay, customize as you want. If I am looking for some shops, I don't mind to see advertisement, what I just searched. But individual data, I think it's more should be interested for some individuals who could be a target of some government or some companies, and they will try to even buy your personal data. In these cases, actually, every person who has who need this kind of security, they uses another applications. So, for example, I have two mobile phones, and first one is belongs to my IT company where I'm working, and they say that I can't read my emails in any mail application. They provide the application. They are aware that corporate data are secured, and they encrypt these data. So if my cell phone will be lost or someone will try to intervene to my mailing thread, they will not be able to read it, because our corporation, they created this environment. They bought some security applications, they provided it to me, and they are sure that we will not lose data. And I don't remember such case for me, for the company where I'm working now. And the same should be for some governmental officials who keep some sensitive data, or which refers to national security. They should follow to this kind of privacy, because you remember once that Prime Minister of Armenia were recorded, and this talk with security service head, it was blown up by media. I don't know whether they used a simple GSM network, but for sure they did not use safe networks. I'm sure that they didn't use Signal, Telegram. I don't know how it happened, but for sure they didn't keep minimal requirements of security. So if you think that you have some important information, not only personal, but also related to your work or national security, you need to follow up on this. Not only you personally, but also the company or the government, which secret you may have.
Thank you very much. It's really interesting. So the next question would be, okay, how much can I trust the companies that in the end of the year, like promise that they keep your information private? Are they more trustworthy than the parties that I don't trust much, and I think that they can use my information?
Again, you need to think about the case, which data you share, and you need to choose the thread of this communication carefully. So I remember many cases in Armenia when police or other investigative services requested from Facebook some even internal communication. I mean, simple chat on Facebook Messenger from Facebook. And what Facebook says, it says that they satisfied this request partially. So we don't know whether they shared only metadata, the time of talk, maybe the length of the talk, I don't know. It could be even actual talk, actual messages, because we know that if Facebook have this kind of request, they share it. But other companies, also companies with worldwide companies, they say we don't share it. You need to read it. Until you don't choose this kind of softwares or cell phones, you will not be aware. So there are no any way. and how you should trust the company who say, I'm not providing this. Okay, for example, I had some communication with someone, shared some important information. There could be even criminal case, and national government or US government requested this information from Apple, and Apple don't report this as a case, so no one knows. But at the end, a person who is involved in this, who believes that his data are safe, he will tell this, and everyone will know. And we know many these kind of topics on WikiLeaks, on Edward Snowden, because what happened? Edward Snowden told that he and company, let's say, where he was involved, they collect the data, and sometimes they are using this data for some purposes. So for me, in open world, actually not in North Korea, but in open world, it's just impossible to keep this kind of important information. So someone will tell that I believe that Apple don't share my information, but I know the case that it happened, and on the criminal case that I'm going through, at that criminal case, I saw the document that Apple provided my chat information. So for me, and the sensitivity of data that I'm keeping, it's really satisfying for me, because I don't remember any case of my political communication that the government could reach it, because I'm trying to be careful. But also there are some other topics, hardware topics, let's say. So now I'm using a Bluetooth connection to talk with you, and anyone near me can just catch our communication if this Bluetooth data sharing is not protected, it's not encrypted. So this means that we also need to be careful on hardware matters. We need to use two-factor authentication. You know it, yeah? In Facebook, you don't need only to type your password, but you can also use another device to authenticate yourself. This is very important thing. And if you use this kind of safeguards, then you can say that at some level, you and your data are safe.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I will shift and drift to a bit a different topic, which is also very interesting. Like usually we use new technologies to minimize the human factor, and it looks that we trust the computers sometimes more than the human factor, even though whatever you describe, there is still a human behind the technologies and whatever technologies can do. So yeah, but coming back to the questions, even in elections, that is such an important thing in democratic systems. In Armenia and elsewhere, we are discussing about elections through technologies. Yeah. How is it possible? What are the pros and cons of this method? Is it more safe? Is it trustworthy, or still there can be bugs there?
Okay, here also we have interesting side of security. So in Armenia, at this moment, we've automated this process of registration of voter with fingerprint. And when a person came to the polling station, he gives his ID, he got authenticated, and he will be able to vote. So here we have the following safeguard. This device is not connected to the network, because we remember cases in post-Soviet countries where the system of election devices were hacked by foreign countries, and for 1 hour, voters weren't able to vote because the system went down. So there also should be security concerns. And I think it's an issue of professionals. So professionals in IT sphere, they need to think about it, how not only hackers, but also some other third interested parties can try to involve this. It could be even a national government. So for this, trust is really important, a human trust, because we have another debate in Armenia whether we need these devices to vote fully automated, just to click on sensor on a party you want to vote, device will count your voice. So in this case, you need to trust to not only to this device, to the software, but also to the government, because in any case, in any environment, there are some administrative side that they are able to intervene, to change anything. So it's impossible to provide some software or device that don't have any key to take something or to change something. And that's why we say that in Armenia, we can do it semi-automated. So you vote on display with sensor, but then it prints the paper where you see your vote, and then you physically put your vote. And later it is counted not only by this hardware and software, but also humans with third eye, let's say, with media, with other persons involved in this process, they will also be a part of this counting. And you will be sure that these two results of machine and people count, it's much. And this is the security how I imagine. But without trust, without any trust, you can say, oh, there is a side that someone could intervene, and I don't believe to these results, because sometimes it happens when this device, what we have now in Armenia, and we are using it for 3 or 4 years, it says that this person voted on second time. I was there, it happened. Once it was even just a bug of this hardware, an issue that I reported, because I believe that this was an issue of Central Electoral Commission. And they came, they saw what I reported, and they understood what was the issue, and it was an issue of these devices, and they fixed it. And they said, okay, thank you that you reported this, we were able to fix it. And in these cases, we can improve and improve it. But if there are no trust at all, then we can't do this automation.
Thank you, David, very much for this alternative angle and for opening the sphere for us that, like, personally, I'm very interested, but I'm very a little familiar with. It was very interesting, and on the one side, I'm very happy that you stress that we still need to trust to each other, to human beings, and to the institutions. And yeah, on the other hand, I also realized that there is much knowledge needed to live among cyborgs, let's say.
For sure, because everywhere, any company, they collect this data. You even don't know where they keep it, and you just actually you need to look carefully to their policy, but you also need to believe that they keep what they say.
Right. Yeah. It sounds to me that it is easier not to be a person of interest for Chinese or other government. But yeah,
for sure.
I hope the new generation, it doesn't sound that hard for a new generation. I'm not that old, but still sounds very hard for me.
In any case, for me personally, I have many communications via Facebook Messenger. And I don't want to imagine that sometime hackers will take my data, will share it, and other interested parties will make a stress on my data. So in any case, I need to be careful. And it's a hard topic, even for me, for IT guy, but I'm trying to increase the level of my personal data security from time to time. That's must.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. It was really very, very interesting.